Good morning. I'm constantly being asked about the difference between the EQS and the EQE. So I was actually among the lucky ones who was like one of the first people who actually got an EQS edition one, sort of like at the end of 2021. The car itself, it's a 2022 model. This is like how the key looks like, and everything is being badged as edition one. So unlike other cars where it may kind of like say Mercedes-Benz, in here it is badged edition one. One of the things I just wanted to highlight is that in getting an edition one, you actually do not really have much by way of a say in what you get in terms of options and functionality, or even color. So this color scheme here, it comes the way it is. That's kind of like the standard edition one. Many people may think that this car is silver in the outside. It's actually classified as sort of like techno blue silver. Kind of like maybe the way to find that out is when you look at it with an angle, or maybe with a little bit in the dark. That being said, it really came in with pretty much kind of like all the options. It's quite well equipped, and as you can see, it's just absolute luxury in every way that you could think of. It even came with like a couple of cushions. All the back seats, front seats are cushioned. You actually have the functionality to adjust like this. They call this hyper screen, which is kind of like from one end to the other. You also, from here, you actually have the capacity to turn on your own heat or your own ventilation, but you also have the option of setting that heat to your passenger. I don't know if you can see it. Yep. And I can even adjust it, so if I want to lower that, you just like start lowering it and it goes down. If you want to go back and turn it into ventilate, you can actually do that, so you can really control it from like this side as well. So I'm just gonna turn it off to everybody since we're just standing still here. So the seats are real leather, perforated leather. Everything in the interior is white with that sort of like blue accent, and it's highly customizable. And you've got like many dashboards. So you've got 1, 2, and 3, and there is also the overhead, which I don't know if you can actually see, but it's there. One interesting thing, actually it took me a while to find that out, is adjusting the setting on the passenger side. And actually the car has to be in park mode, but in here you actually have like the set of displays. And if you go to the passenger screen decorative, you have the option of having these like flying Mercedes stars, or like some sort of a futuristic car, a race car, the EQS badge look. Or over time you actually can download, but only on the app, your own favorite picture and put it on. There is also an option that says passenger. It allows you to have graphical goodies. I don't know if you can see it if you turn that off, but if you turn it on, from time to time, like in Halloween or Valentine's Day, you just like get a special message in the car. This also comes with the MBUX, Mercedes-Benz UX. This is like the user interchange, so I could say, "Hi Mercedes,
how can I help?"
Switch on the massage on the driver's side.
I'm switching on the massage on the driver's seat.
Hey Mercedes,
How may I help you?
switch on the steering wheel heat.
Okay, I'm switching on the steering wheel heating.
And off you go. You could just like, do whatever you would like to do. This is sort of like, wooden finish, really beautiful. This is one of the things I really didn't enjoy much. It's you actually turn the car from here, and oftentimes like you maybe just like pushing your hand and not watching properly, and just like this four-way flusher would just like come off. Same thing, I had people sitting in my car thinking that they want to open that middle compartment, and they push the on off button. Luckily you actually have to keep it on for like 30 seconds, or like 3 seconds to completely turn off, just to know that it's a deliberate action. So that's kind of like the car in the interior. It's as I said, it's got like a double panorama. And in the back, it's quite spacious, very, very spacious. So even for like a full adult, sitting in, you would still have plenty of legroom. Like this is how much legroom, and this is actually with that seat being backed all the way just to allow the passenger to get out. In the back, there is like full controls. It allows you to control the temperature, and it's also got the on and off, and then it allows you to actually turn on the heat in the back, but there is no massage functionality in here in the back. All right, so that just like it gives you an idea about the car in the interior. And here, like the color actually shows quite accurately. Even in contrast to that blue, you could just tell that it's kind of like light blue silver color. The doors itself, it's quite heavy. Everything in this car, to be honest with you, is heavy. It's about 2.8 tons, so it's almost like 3,000 tons, 21 wheels, and this is quite an interesting wheel. It's very impressive, and especially these are like AMG rims, and when you're really running, it shows very, very nice. The trunk is it's actually a hatchback, so it's quite large. It's got lots of room in the inside. It's kind of like hard for people to sort of like imagine how deep it is, but it is actually quite deep. So and then you have the functionality to bring this down if you so wish. All right, so this is the EQS. All right, sorry, the car is not super clean. Just like we're now the early days of winter. This is how you charge the car. And then if you happen to actually have access to a fast charging facility, you would have to take this guy out and use actually the entire 3-piece charger. But at home I have this locked, and I only use this aspect in here. This is actually to release the button once the car has stopped charging. And this is again just like from the passenger side. Again, everything is labeled edition 1, and as you can see, like it really looks quite nice in the inside with the white perforated leather all around. All right, so that's that. Some people ask me about the front. There is really no storage in the front, and you're not even supposed to open it, but I had the car in service, and actually they forgot to completely close it, so I have the capacity to open it. There isn't really much to see. It's a big HEPA filter. This, again, people kind of like ask what is it, and it's actually just to add fluid washer, so you could just like see the sign here that it highlights that's actually that fluid, the washer fluid, if you will. I'm gonna see if I could actually quickly open it without much. Okay, so here we go. So they don't even provide you the capacity to have a rod in the inside to actually keep this up. But as I said, I mean, it's quite large. It's sealed. It's kind of like, this is really the HEPA filter. Other than that, you don't even see the little 12-volt battery. You just like have access to it in case you need to charge the car. And then in here you have like the different, assuming these are like the brake fluids, and it's not recommended that you sort of open it or try to service it yourself. One other thing is all the EQE and EQS that are sedan are actually manufactured in Germany. Whereas the ones that are SUVs are actually manufactured in the United States. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but just, a distinct difference between the two, in case people are kind of like, why, why did you pick up a sedan? First of all, we have an SUV, so I felt like it would actually be useful to just like have a sedan. There is a camera in the front. Actually multiple cameras in the front. I don't know if you can see it, but it's here. It's kind of like equivalent of a dash camera, right? There are 3 cameras. If you could just like, this is as much zoom as I could. So there is one down there, and then there are 2 at the top there. So I'm just gonna move, maybe a little bit closer, and you get to see it. But they really control much of the functionality of the car. Then there is the Distronic, which again you see the camera here that actually controls the distance, in addition to all the other sensors. This is one of the things as well that I discovered in this car, and actually in the EQE, that in the inside it's also got cameras that are monitoring you. So if you nod or you close your eyes, you actually get a warning from the car that says, hey, it's time to take a break. All right, so the next thing is just like, touching on the EQE AMG. So we're now the end of 2024. My EQS was actually, the lease was coming to an end. So I had the option of either, buying the car outright or getting a new EQS or looking into something else. I could have a different discussion about EQS, but quite frankly, the depreciation associated with the car, given that I got it, and it was like early on, and there are not too many edition ones out there, so hard to compare the prices. It actually ended up not being commercially, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So I decided to actually get the EQE AMG. This car is phenomenal. This is a 2024 AMG, and I got it at the end of the year for quite a substantial discount, which is fabulous. Practically everything as in the EQS, same size from a width perspective, a height perspective. However, where there is a difference, it's actually in the trunk. So it's a shorter trunk, and it's also not a hatchback, but just it kind of like, if you want to compare the two, as you could see in here, like, again, these are like the new AMG wheels. It's fantastic. It looks like like the aeroplane, kind of like fan, area. But it's like there is not really much by way of like beyond that. The keys, they are labeled AMG, and when you turn the car on or off, you get this noise as well, right? And it's dark now, but typically you would also have the Mercedes AMG emblem in the back. So let me open the trunk, and you will see that it is not as deep as the other one. It doesn't really have like the same level of functionality in terms of like accessibility, but it's actually still quite decent in here. And to allow you to recline the two back seats, it's got like, you know, these two buttons here, left or right, to recline the back seats, just to allow you if you like to just like, you know, have a longer thing stored. This is the usual thing of actually just like shutting the car off. Again, properly labeled AMG EQE. Everything that comes in North America is the EQE 53. So they do not label it 53, but you're gonna see cars in Europe that are EQE 43 AMG, and therefore they label it 43. It's got that extension in here. This I like this actually. I haven't realized it in the beginning that it's got like this lip with the brake light in here. As you could see, there is a bit of a difference in terms of the back between the EQS and the EQE. So I would say it is like maybe 8-inch longer compared to the EQE. All right. Everything else from a functionality perspective is the same. However, in the inside, given that it is an AMG, it's kind of like everything is labeled AMG. In here, it comes with red aspects and accents on the interior, like, you know, the stitching, the seat belt. And this also came with the hyper screen, but everything in the inside is black on black, and it's got that suede finish rather than just leather, if you will. 4MATIC, it's labeled 4MATIC Plus. This is like the consistent. Some people thought that actually this is a Canadian leaf or Canadian flag. It isn't. It's actually a plus sign, which is 4MATIC Plus. And again, like, it's got like all the Mercedes digital lights. It allows you to actually have a big like almost like a display. It's the same as the EQS, same digital light. I'm just gonna come in the inside and just see a couple of things, just like highlight a couple of things in here. So I'm gonna turn the car on, and this car you actually have to authenticate yourself. So in addition to this label here, you actually have to enter, as you could see, your thumb scan. So it's in here. It's the same functionality in the EQS. It's just like I have not enabled it. And it's time to install some new stuff, which I wanted to install last night. It just did not allow me to do it last night. And it comes with that display in here, which is the AMG display. And in here, again, it's the same thing, you know, 3 dashboards. There is this one, the middle one, right, which has got all the functionality, the AMG, and then the overhead, which you might not be able to see. And then on that screen here, I told you that you actually have the capacity to put your own picture if you wanted to. So you actually go to Systems, Displays, and this is the passenger screen decorative item. And I had downloaded a Christmas picture of my lovely wife and me. And if I choose to kind of like put that on, I could just put it on. Or if you just like want to have a clock look or a compass look, you could just like have that. One thing, by the way, is the EQS, it actually, the seat belt area here, this would actually be lit red in the EQS. That functionality does not come in the EQE. Another thing is that this car here, it's what they call a pinnacle package. So again, this is like the highest package in the AMG EQE. However, you know, a couple of things I found them to be lacking compared to the EQS. The first one is it doesn't really have the ventilation, so it's only got the heat functionality. And the other thing is, you might remember that the other car actually had the capacity to set that for the passenger. I cannot do that for the passenger in this car. The other thing is it doesn't have a massage. So hey Mercedes,
How may I help you?
turn on the massage seat on the passenger side.
I'm sorry, this vehicle does not have any massage functions.
Here you go. So Mercedes is very honest. It tells you whether it has the functionality or not. There is a way actually to list all the things that are included in the car. Again, like, you know, this is a different class of car. It's like, you know, super sporty. It comes with the AMG capability here. So it's got, like, you know, different modes of like how you drive the car. This is individual, and as you're making the change here, it shows up there as well. This is comfortable, right? And comfortable, sorry, this is snow, so it allows you actually to set the snow level. If it's slippery, or like how do you want to drive it, then you can go to sport, right? And beyond that, even there is sport plus. So this is, you could just like take the car to the track if you like to. And even here, from a functionality perspective, it's got the AMG specific functionality for performance and the track race. So you could actually set the car to kind of like go on track race. But Mercedes, again, for safety, it says there is no track available in the vicinity. So, you know, if you want to do a drag race in like a street, which again is not recommended, this is like, again, to kind of like start doing things, all the telemetry, so you'd actually be in a position to see how the car is performing over time. Obviously, both cars you could just connect from a window perspective, so it makes them very, very quiet. It's kind of like hard to tell, but it's kind of like, you know, really quite thick glass. This is what's called the Obsidian Black Satin Finish, and I did the ceramic wrapping as well as like, you know, just the PPP protection. I tend to do these in all my cars. This actually, the entire hood is covered. This is covered, the A-pillar is covered, whereas in the EQS I chose to only keep it to here. So you know, I don't know if you could see it, but I think it's highly recommended that you do this, especially in the Canadian winter weather. All right, I'm gonna stop maybe at this point, and then if there are additional questions, you know, we could just take them as you wish. Here you don't see the bolts, it's actually hidden on the inside, and you need like a special tool to allow you to kind of like uncover this and get the rest. This is the same in terms of like the charging functionality, and it's again, it's the same thing if you so choose to have like one of the fast charging utilities. I haven't figured out how to open the front in here. Again, I think, you know, the detailers, they opened it just to allow them to put the PPF properly, but I'm not gonna attempt to open it at this stage. Again, the car is a little bit dirty, but It's just like the proper AMG. Obviously, these are not open ventilations like in the real car, so they are covered. But you've got these decorative items. It makes the car actually look a little bit more muscular. And again, everything else is practically the same. You know, the multiple cameras in the front here and 3 in the front, including the dash camera, obviously the stuff on the side. But unlike the Teslas, they do not have like cameras here, nor that they have the Sentry mode, which actually I found it to be a very good idea, that you could actually enable the Sentry functionality to allow the car to record any movements or any attempts against the car, if somebody ever tries to kind of like do that, you know, any damage or just like accidentally hitting the car or anything like that. All right, I hope this was good. By the way, another thing, this car came with summer tires, which I find to be completely impractical. So I had to go get all season tires on my own. These are Continental tires, all season. And I think the ones that came with the EQS were Pirelli. And you know, again, it's just like these are supposed to be run flat, but I could not find run flat on this car. Any rate, I hope this gives you a good idea about the two cars. I highly recommend, if anybody is interested in an EV that has a Mercedes quality and finish. Yeah, I labored over this decision for a very long period of time, considered a number of cars, including the Teslas, but in the end, I just felt I already spent so much time getting to the learning curve of the technology within this car, which is amazing, and I really didn't have anything to complain about. The range in the EQS is quite long, so in the summer it's almost 600 kilometers on a 100% charge. This car, especially because it is an AMG, it's not like that. I think it's about 400 kilometers, and it degrades significantly if you use the car aggressively, and also if you use it in the winter months, turning on all the things. As you could see, you know, when you turn the cars off, the EQS is quite civilized. It's just you know, that little noise. This kind of like, you know, it makes you know, the big announcement in terms of like the car. Obviously these the handles would be you know, flush with the car. Once you turn it off, it's locked. One final thing is the EQS, I think it's about 500 plus horsepower. So in its own right, despite the fact that it is a heavy car, it's quite fast. And the ride is just like absolutely butter. Like it's as if you're not driving a Mercedes, it's more like a Range Rover or a Rolls Royce or a Bentley. This car here, you have like multiple ways of adjusting the drive, and the horsepower in this car, I believe it's 620 or something like that, but then it has a boost functionality of another 70 horsepower if you choose to activate the racing mode, so it gets it to 701 horsepower. It goes from 0 to 100 in I think 3.2 seconds. I think the EQS goes from 0 to 100 in like maybe 3.9, 3.8 seconds. I tested it once and it actually did it in 3.6 seconds. But that was like at the very beginning when I first got the car. I hope this was helpful, and hey, you know, happy wishes for the new year. Merry Christmas, and Happy New Year to you and your loved ones. Bye-bye.